The RMP60 spindle probe is multifunctional. All settings are configured using the trigger logic technique. This allows you to review the probe settings by observing the multicolor LED display. For ease of use, the RMP60 has 3 LEDs spaced evenly around the body of the probe. Each one does exactly the same thing. When observing trigger logic, you need only refer to one of them. The trigger logic allows you to change the settings by deflecting the stylus and observing the changes in the multicolor LED display. In operation, the multicolor LED shows the state of the probe, whether triggered or seated. The LED also shows the state of the batteries. If the batteries are dead, the LED will stay either constant red or flash red to indicate that the batteries must be changed. Instructions on how to replace batteries are included in this guide. All LED combinations are listed in the user guide. The RMP60 can be in one of 3 modes: standby mode, waiting for a switch on signal, operating mode, the probe is ready to be used, and configuration mode, meaning the probe is ready to be configured using the trigger logic method. A detailed graphical explanation of the function of the trigger logic can be found in the spindle probe user guide. To review the current probe settings, remove the battery cassette for 5 seconds. Then reinsert it. When reviewing settings, do not deflect the stylus. The probe now goes through a startup sequence: an LED check, the switch on setting, the switch off setting, multiple probe mode, and a battery status review. The probe will return to its standby mode after 10 seconds. Due to option compatibility, certain menu options when selected will prevent access to further options. The flashing LED colors, sequences, and the mode that they represent are fully explained in the user guide. To enter the RMP60 trigger logic settings menu, remove the battery cassette for 5 seconds. Deflect the stylus, and, keeping the stylus deflected, replace the battery cassette. Once the battery cassette is installed, keep the stylus deflected for a further 15 seconds. Then release it. Once the review sequence is complete, the user has the option to change each mode by deflecting the stylus for about 1 second. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The RMP60 has multiple switch-on methods. To change the switch-on mode, deflect the stylus for 1 second. The switch-on methods are violet, violet, yellow, radio on, using an M-code start signal from the machine interface. Violet, violet, green, shank on, when using a shank with an integrated switch supplied by Renishaw. violet, violet, blue. Spin on, at the speed recommended in the user guide for between 1 and 6 seconds. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. The RMP60 has multiple switch-off methods. To change the switch-off methods, deflect the stylus for 1 second. The switch-off methods are red, 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 radio or spin off, in which the RMP60 will accept a radio M-code signal or a spin off command at the speed recommended in the user guide for between 1 and 6 seconds. Red, red, green. Short timeout for a 12-second timeout. Red, red, blue. Medium timeout for a 33-second timeout. And red, red, yellow. Long timeout for a 134-second timeout. To move to the next option, the stylus should be deflected for at least 4 seconds. Once the modes have been set, the option to partner the RMP60 with an RMI becomes available. The stylus should be deflected at this point to keep the probe in acquisition mode off. Cyan, cyan, cyan. Keeping the stylus deflected, power up the RMI. After a few seconds, the RMI will repeatedly flash on and off green. This is the start of a 10-second acquisition mode for the RMI. The RMP60 should be triggered. This will place it in and out of acquisition mode on. Cyan, cyan, red. When successfully partnered, the RMI will alternately flash red and yellow for the remainder of the 10 seconds. The RMP60 should be left for 20 seconds to go back into standby mode. It's recommended that settings are reviewed after programming. The system is now ready for stylus on-center adjustment.